Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of JeremyCraft. It's been a little while since the last episode, I apologize. This is not how I wanted to start the intro. Now, as I was saying, it's been a little while since I've recorded an episode, and there are a couple things that I've been thinking about during that break, specifically things I want to change. The first major one is that I feel like I've made a mistake with this Old West town here. My original idea was to have two strips of buildings with like a main street down the middle, but I think that having it end with these like houses at the end was a mistake. I think that this would have been much better if I'd made it into like a T-junction with another strip of buildings going along this way. I think that would have made the town feel much more complete, so I'm going to, at some point in the future, get rid of these buildings and build another strip of buildings like this, going across horizontally here. That'll be a huge project, obviously, since these took a while on their own, so I won't be starting that for a while. I'm going to kind of leave this town for a little bit, because there's one thing I have been wanting to work on that we have not touched in a long time, and that is this village right here, my trading village. Their workstations are just out in the middle of nowhere, and the town is pretty messy. Aside from the walls, no aesthetic work has been done on this village, so I'd like to focus here for the next little while. Before we start talking about the changes I intend to make in this village, and our plans for the next little while, one important change has been made to this world, and that is that we are now in 1.18, which has some pretty important ramifications for the world. First off, as you can see, there's about 1 billion torches in this tiny little area. That's to keep zombies from spawning. We won't need that anymore because the lighting changes in 1.18 make it so that you can use far fewer torches to light up the same amount of area, so that will look much nicer. The second is that the world height has been changed, so we can build higher and lower, and all of the new caves are generated underneath the terrain here, so we'll be able to do some exploring of that at some point. But on to the changes I intend to make in this village. The first is that I really want to change this wall. As much as I love the design, I'm probably going to keep this design and use it for another village at some point because I think it looks really good, but I don't think it's going to suit what we're going to be building here. So I'm going to be making a sort of very simple desert wall. I want this area to still maintain its sort of vanilla look. The houses aren't going to look much different than they do right now. They'll be ordered a little bit better. They'll be maybe slightly bigger with a little bit more detail, but for the most part, this village is going to have a very similar look. And this wall doesn't really suit this area. Going to get something that fits a little bit more thematic. But one of the major things we're going to be working on is not an aesthetic change. We're going to be digging a sort of pit underneath the village where I'm going to store all of the villagers while we're working, because there's going to be some pretty major excavation going on up here, and I don't want there to be any issues with like zombie spawning and killing the villagers. Plus, it'll allow us to do something I've been wanting to do for a while, which is I want to get all of the villagers into minecarts in an area where I can convert them into zombies very easily, and then we'll do multiple rounds of zombifying and curing all of the villagers in the village so that everyone here will have the best possible trades. I don't know if I can show you. Yeah, like this guy, Unbreaking 3 for 20 emeralds. 20 emeralds isn't bad, but it could certainly be much better. So that will be a huge undertaking. Obviously, we will have to do a lot of moving of villagers, gathering of potion ingredients, and that'll end up taking probably most of our time for the first episode. So I'm just going to hop between projects, and over the next little while, this is what we're going to be working on. Alrighty, it's been a little while since I started that time lapse. I don't know how long it's going to run for, but it covered quite a few hours of work, and I ended up doing a lot more than I expected. For example, I didn't actually plan to push this mountain back. Originally I was just going to leave it where it was and have the wall come up underneath it like the old wall did, but I think this looks way better and gives us a lot more room. These little channels here represent where the main roads are going to go. I like the spacing, so all that's left is to design the buildings that are going to go here. I'm going to hop into my creative world really quick. These buildings are pretty simple, but this is the general look that I'm going to go for. Really simple, really similar to the default Minecraft look, but with just a little bit of extra detail. And I want to go with this sort of spruce accent. I like it better than, originally I was looking at having like a terracotta or sand, that sort of orange default Minecraft look, but I think I like the spruce look better. These trees are kind of in the way, but this kind of gives you an idea of what the main path is going to look like. But if you just look at these three buildings together, that'll give you sort of a snapshot look at what the final product will look like. So I'm going to try and do some work in the town, get some buildings built up with one last time lapse, and we'll see how far we can get before the end of today's episode. Alrighty guys, and we are done. I can't believe how much we were able to get done. When I started this episode, I thought we were going to be able to get maybe the wall done, maybe the outline for a couple of the buildings. What I didn't expect was for us to finish the whole thing. I'm super happy with how this turned out. This is exactly how I was envisioning this village looking, and trading here is going to be much nicer. There were a couple mistakes made along the way. For example, when I was curing the zombie villagers, I forgot that you can hit multiple of them with a single splash potion, so I ended up making way more potions than I needed. I still have a bunch left in a box somewhere now. And then again, when I let everyone up from down below, they were kept, this is where the staircase was. I forgot that I needed to separate them and give them a chance to find their workstations. I kind of let them all up at once, and there were a bunch of villagers who didn't have workstations yet, who like attached themselves to the workstations that I needed for other people, like the blacksmith ones and the composters and stuff. But I was able to fix that just by waiting until the workday started and then like luring them into different areas and resetting the workstations. So everyone now has their workstations set. I've put the bell under this tree. I had it on top of this little bush earlier, and then that just did not look right, so I've moved it over here. It would have been nice if I had built a like a tavern or something, like I did in my original world. That usually looks a little bit better, but I think this works just fine. I apologize for how much time-lapsing there was in this episode. If you stuck around this far, I appreciate it. If you have any questions or suggestions for things you'd like to see in this Let's Play series, please feel free to comment. That aside, thank you again for watching, and have a wonderful day.